What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharpe, and welcome to the special, Monday night edition of TSR Live, your daily dose of red pill truth, wisdom, and awareness. You guys who are just joining me, of course, you guys just saw me, rather, on my other live stream. I, of course, am joined by my man Joker of Better Bachelor. And Joker, the first question I asked you the first thing I want to tell you is I really, really appreciate you making time for us today, man. This has been a long time coming, and I'm glad I was able to get you on. So I appreciate you coming on.
It's my pleasure to be here. You know, I know that a lot of times from reading and watching a little bit of your stuff, we have kind of two different angles, kind of attacking the same problems. And I think yours is to try to solve the problem, and mine is to just say it's not even worth me hassling with and walking away from the problem. But you know, means to an end, right?
Absolutely. And you know, I think what a lot of people are starting to understand in terms of the red pill community, you know, the MGTOW community, to me, they're one and the same, is that there are many different personalities. And the reason, one of the first things I discovered about you is that you and I are like-minded. Our delivery could not be more different. I'm loud and I'm all over the place and I'm getting banned and hiding my videos, and you're just like, I wish I had your coolness sometimes, but you know, sometimes my temper just betrays me.
Well, you know, the trick of it is it's he who cares the least wins, right? That's been what I did a video on that even. And so I don't get too wrapped up and I don't get too fired up because again, I think your mindset is, how do I teach men what signs do you look out for when you date somebody? When you say this, you're going to lose value with her. When you say this, she's going to respect you more. And how do you navigate through it? For me, a lot of it is maybe that's 5 or 10%, but more for me, it's telling guys, here's what you're getting into, whether you're good at it or bad at it or anything else. Here's everything you're getting into. And if you know the statistics and you know the way things work out, you know, there may be a big part of us, or at least myself being one of them, that did that. And then at a point I said, yeah, this is an awful lot of energy for very little return. I think I'll spend my money or my time on making money and time on myself. And again, means to an end. You know, the whole goal is to be happy.
Sure.
It's just, how do you get there? And do you do it by yourself? Do you do it with a couple of dates, lots of dates, 100 dates, or one woman? Or it's just different semantics. That's all.
I totally agree. Carl K in the chat says Donovan wants to negotiate the gynocentric system. Joker sees it for what it is. He used the wrong word. I'm not trying to negotiate anything. I'm trying to navigate it. And that's the question I wanted to ask you, because to me, there are two, I don't want to say two groups, but men, red pill aware men, generally fall in one or two-ish categories. There are men like myself who are like, okay, I want pussy. I want to fuck hot girls. How do I do it? You spend years learning how to do it. And then some men say, you know what? This isn't worth it. Like, okay, I want pussy, but it's not really worth the effort I'm putting into it. Where do you fit in terms of those two groups, if any at all? If not, what do you consider yourself to be?
So I was lucky as a young guy in that I've always been pretty good shape. I look younger than I am. You know, I'm knocking on 50 here in 2-3 more years. Oh, cool. And so I've always looked young. I've always been in very good shape, and I've always been able to spit a little bit of game. So I never really had to learn this. I was comfortable with girls. I always did well with girls. But after a while, you know, I realized that when you think back to when you had the most fun in life, when were your best days? When was life the most full, awesome it could be? Right. And I realized it was hanging out with my friends, fooling around with girls when they came into your life, not really thinking a lot about that, not putting that on my plate, so to speak. Right. And if it kind of got thrown at me, you enjoy it and then you move on. But my focus was never directed towards women. Then when you get a little bit older and you say, you know, I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life, because the blue pill world is like that. And you say, maybe it's time, you know, before I get too old, maybe I need to find somebody. And you start navigating that route. And in the end, I'll tell you something. If you were to take a chastity belt and lock it on a woman, duct tape her mouth, so not, you know, so she could still talk, but she can't do any favors for you. Sure. If you take away the 2-3 favors that a woman can do for you, what's left? And when you really look at all that, you say, well, friendship, or someone to hang out with, someone to spend my money, someone to tell me how to decorate my crap, someone to tell me what I can and can't buy. In the end, you go, geez, man, For those two things, or for one really main thing to help me enjoy myself for, half an hour a day, do I want to change the course of my life for that? And I got to tell you, man, for me, the answer is no. Now, I tell everybody it's like a cheese pizza. I don't sit around thinking about cheese pizza all day. I don't change my life to go get cheese pizza. Sure. But if a cheese pizza is set in front of me and somebody says, you want some cheese pizza? I'll have some cheese pizza. I'll enjoy myself with that. You know what I mean? But then I put it aside and go on about my life. And that's kind of how the way I navigate it.
Years ago, I was the guy who went to the pizza joint, right? Like
we all were.
Like life was all about cheese pizza for me. But somewhere along the way, I still like cheese pizza. I just didn't enjoy the drive as much.
It came with a whole lot of toppings, a lot of BS you weren't ready for.
I had to tip the driver. I don't need any of that stuff.
Yeah, right.
Pedro Gabicio says, I think they just deleted your live stream. No, I took it down. That's going to be on my Patreon, and that is for obvious reasons. Carl K says, navigate, negotiate, same difference. No, I disagree. Navigating the sexual marketplace requires seeing it for what it really is so that you can navigate it. Negotiating the sex. Well, okay. Well, I guess negotiate has two different meanings.
But negotiation makes it sound like you're giving up. You're meeting them halfway. Right. I don't do that. I do what I want to do, and you can join me, but I'm not going in your direction at all. That's
exactly right. And I think Carl's actually right, because negotiate has two different meanings. There's negotiate what you described, and then there's negotiate as in navigate. So
right.
So a little linguistic difference there. So. The question that I always ask first time guests is, because you sound like it sounds like you've never really had problems with girls, but yeah, right. I mean, what was the event or series of events that led you to the red pill?
Would probably be after so I was married very young, 21.
Oh,
21, 22. I was fresh out of the military, met a girl. She was beautiful. She did part-time modeling for like a JC's Penney's that was in the local ads. This is going way back when, you still had zones of the country that didn't talk to other zones before the internet. But she was also a hairstylist. She was real pretty, funny, interesting, all blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Went south real quick. She left me for Alpha guy that had lots of money and scratch. And he was a little bit older, and then dated casually, had a couple serious more relationships that either got cheated on or something bad happened. And I can't say it wasn't my fault. You act like a little too blue pill, a little too simp. They leave. They lose their interest. And then married for a second time to a biologist. She was very smart. She was the opposite of the first one. Okay. But I found, and then after that one was my very last relationship, where I realized after a little while that you could take a woman to you could take her to the theater, but she wants to go to a better theater, and you can take her to a nice dinner, but she wants the better dinner, and you can take her to a vacation, but she wants a different, better vacation. Right. And after you do that enough times, you always have to up yourself, because you can't ever reset. No. The ground keeps moving up underneath you. So after a time, almost in any relationship, the longer you're together, the more likely it is to fail, where the new guy is mystery and interesting. Oh, yes. And I learned that firsthand. And once I kind of internalized that and sat back and said, all right, I get it. I understand the game now. That's kind of what set me down, at least researching this stuff. And the biggest thing that changed my mind on a lot of it was understanding philosophy, ego, and doing, study on why do people think the way they do? Why do they do what they do? And this, I mean, the video you were just analyzing on your other thread, you're saying, okay, you see how he answered, look at her body language. And well, when you learn that for how society works and how society thinks, you realize that it's a game you can't win. You can only play it for a short period of time, at least in my mind. Right. You can only play it for a short period of time with this one person. Then you got to and start over, because starting over is easier than trying to continually up and ramp up that relationship. So,
wow, well said. Brown Hornet 1975 with the $5 super chat says, shocking. I guess that's from the math.
Shocking.
Oh, that's something that you do.
Yeah. So whenever I see something like, a woman will say something like, I've been a feminist all my life and nobody wants to date me. I'll say, shocking. When there's just completely blown away by something that is obvious to 99% of humanity.
Now, why did you start your podcast? What was the seminal moment? Hey, you know what? I've got a lot of knowledge. I think I can share it with the world. What made you decide to do
that? Was never I never thought I have a lot of knowledge and I'm going to share it with the world. I came back. So I left my job. I left the last girl I had. I sold my house. I kind of liquidated everything.
Okay.
And because I decided I need to reassess what I want, what's going to make me happy. And I flew down to Peru and I did ayahuasca in the jungles of the Amazon for 2 weeks.
What?
And I decided I'm going to liquidate and sell everything I have, put it into the bank, and I'm going to travel around the world for a year. And so that's what I did. I went to 36 countries. I lived out an 80-liter backpack. I thumbed rides. I took buses. And after seeing the world and seeing everything that's out there, I kind of came back home and I said, you know, I don't have anybody to talk to. I don't keep journals or anything like that.
Right.
Let me put it, and I'll put a couple videos out here for fun.
Okay.
And for a year, I put maybe 20 or 30 videos out. Wow. And I think I had 300 followers this past November. And then 2 videos just kicked, which is
that was it.
Dating in your 30s is dead. And the other one was a friend of mine had to pay ridiculous amounts of child support. He ended up committing suicide over it. And those 2 videos, within 2 days, I had 6,000 followers from that.
Wow.
And because the algorithms just took off. Sure. And then from there, it's kind of just been going. And so I started kicking it up because I found it's a fun hobby. But I also now have realized that a lot of guys have contacted me and said, dude, thank you for helping me, because I didn't know about this, but I saw your video on that. And then it became, all right, maybe I may not have the greatest advice, but let me put some thoughts in your head to think about. Let me read some stories from, whether it's the UK or Australia or wherever, that people may not know about. And so that way you can go, oh shit, man, things are screwed up out there. I need to be careful and I need some advice, that kind of thing. So
excellent. Now you seem, obviously, again, we are diametrically, I don't know what other word.
Opposite sides of the same coin, maybe, right?
I'm telling you what, dude, we could not be any more different, but you seem very calm. And what is now me, people call me an angry guy, and I am most of the time. That's just how I am. But you don't seem angry about it at all. You don't appear like you don't strike me as a guy who, and normally when guys find the red pill, they go through the anger phase.
I did.
There is an anger phase. Oh, you did? Okay, well,
yeah.
About that, because you do not strike me as a guy who really gets angry that often.
Well, I don't anymore. And the way I explained it on one of my videos on my channel is that I was so blindsided by so many of these relationships and so many things that I guess you could say that circuit finally fried out, where there was part of me that I was a person that cared very much about other people, and then I'd get very angry about things. And it was emotionally exhausting, where I just, my God, I'm so tired of feeling this way or being frustrated, and it kind of just fizzled. And now I just attack everything from a very analytical direction. And I think that's because of the work that I did with psychology and things like that.
Okay. Sorry about that interruption there.
No,
Vacrovane TV with the €2 super chat. He says, hello, my 2 favorite red pill intellectuals. Yeah, a lot of guys in the chat are very glad to see us together. Says, thank you, universe, for bringing 2 masters of making men better together. That leads me to my next question. A lot of our detractors say that we have this God complex, right? And I could never, and
maybe yours, not mine.
God, listen, man, I'm an idiot that just talks for a living, right? That's not the way I see it. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't feel I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't take tremendous pride in the fact that there are men who regularly tell me, hey, Donovan, you saved my life. Donovan, right, you changed my life. I do XYZ because you said ABC. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the men that you've helped, the men that you reach out that say, hey, Joker, you know what, man? I was on the verge of X, Y, and Z, but I did ABC, and it's because of you.
That's kind of what keeps me going, I guess you'd say, is that, I put out videos that are out there just being funny or pointing at this stupid article or this stupid person or, some of the craziness that we see out there. But I try to at least make sure there's a lesson behind it. Not always, but at least there's something to learn out of it. But, and then I throw in, hey, here's some advice, or here's something I've noticed, and here's some things that I've seen. And that the people that have said, hey, man, you really touched me. I have about 3,500 women followers now. Okay. They've sent me messages, say, you helped me understand my son. You've helped me understand my husband a little bit better. You understand me, just help me understand just men in general, for good or bad. I don't focus anything towards them, but
Holy shit.
But to have people say, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate your thoughts on this or your angle on this. That's really why I keep going. There's nights, I put out one or usually two, but some nights just one video. There's nights I'm like, man, I'm just going to take tonight off, play a couple of video games and chill with a beer. But then I'll have this news article and I'll say, but you know what? I got a lot to say about this and I don't want it to forget about it or so I just load it up and fire it out there. So, but I do this to help people and have fun. I mean, this is a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. I think one thing I try to do when I do my show, I try to add a little bit of my personality because yes, we are on here to help people, but by the same token, the message doesn't get out if we don't do a good job, right?
Right.
So what are your views on, there are a lot of, do you feel that there are fake red pill guys out there? In other words, guys who sort of parrot off of other people's work, guys who read a couple of blogs and all of a sudden they think that they're experts on women. What do you think of guys like that if you're even aware that they exist?
Well, hell, you could probably say that I was, when I first came to YouTube, I saw a couple episodes by you. I saw Coach Red Pill. I saw Coach Greg Adams, Turd Flinging Monkey, Sandman, Happy Humble Hermit. I saw those guys and I said, oh, they've got some interesting ideas and takes on things. And so I said, well, let's talk about this. And, as I put videos out, there's times I'll put a video up, I'll post it, and I'll go looking around. I go, oh, you just did a video on this 2 days ago, man. But our takes are different.
Right.
So there may be some guys that glam on a little bit, but I think that people can genuinely tell the difference between, okay, this guy really has done this stuff, or he has lived it, or he understands the truths of it. And then there's other people that may just be parroting things. And I think you can tell the channels that survive and those that don't, or the ones that thrive and those that don't, because you can tell it's I don't know, you can tell people are faking it or not. The ones that I have problems with, yes, there are some women that really do understand maybe the guys going their own way kind of contact. But the thing is when they're wearing the low cut thing and they're giving their speech, you go, your words are all right, but you're visually playing up and come on, you're just fishing for subs now at this point.
Right.
You don't ask a fish how to catch a fish.
Nope.
You ask the fisherman. So, you don't go to a woman and listen to her about men's content. You just don't. It doesn't make any sense.
Dude, and men who do that always end up still blaming the men when they mess it up. Needs Duts. I guess it's supposed to be D's nuts.
D's nuts.
Sort of a backward, whatever. Says Coach Greg, Donovan, and Joker are the Holy Trinity. I appreciate that. So Gadgets in the chat says MGTOWs always talk about the beta seed side of hypergamy, and they kind of hate the game. I'm sure you're aware of, I don't even know if it's currently going on because, dude, I work so hard. I barely follow the beefs or anything like that. Right. But do you feel that there's a difference between MGTOWs and Red Pill, or do you think they're one of the same? Are they two sides of the same coin? What are your thoughts on the Red Pill versus MGTOW dichotomy?
So I say red pill is, boy, I don't know. Because I could say something and everybody will have a different opinion and blow up. But the way I look at it is red pill is the entry to being your own man, understanding the rules, knowing the way the world works, and you have just begun to see how the other half lives. Okay. And because there's a truth, you can understand women or you can love women. You can't do both. So I think red pill is I now understand women. And that's, again, from the Matrix and seeing the other side. Where the MGTOW community comes from, I think, is it's red pill, but moving a little bit further, which is, the red pill community and some guys that watch my stuff, guys that watch your stuff, they'll say, okay, I know the game and I understand it, but I'm willing to still play the game. And it means I'm still willing to put out there. I'll put in a little bit of work. I might make some phone calls. I'll get in Tinder, whatever. But I'm still going to try to date and get some action. And kind of when you get a little bit deeper, MGTOW, at least for me, is, or it seems from my community of watchers, means we're done. Like, yeah, some of us may still casually date. Some of us may still even be in short-term relationships, but I'm not budging 1 inch from my course. Okay. I'm not going to install an app necessarily. Some will, but, sure. But my goal is here, and this is where I'm going to, and I'm not going off that track for any reason. Where I think some, not all, some red pillars are still, I want to date. I'll go through a couple of hoops to get there. where I think guys that are kind of doing their own thing say, I'm just not going to put any effort into this. I don't care enough.
See, I'm that guy who at the moment, I used to jump through all kinds of hoops. And I was good at it. I could jump through hoops with the best of them, although I had to fall on my face a whole lot. Obviously, you fail a lot more than you succeed. But now I'm in a long-term cohabitating relationship. So yeah, I am still jumping through hoops. Not quite as many hoops, but I'm still jumping through hoops. The reason that and my view on this is, and I love the fact that I'm in a place where I could literally do with or without my girl. Like if my girl were to come in here right now and say, Donovan, we're done. All right, I packed my shit, and then I moved to Phoenix. It was either Phoenix or Philly. I decided on Philly. Devin decided she wanted to come with me. The rest is history.
Right.
But I actually like being in a relationship, and I guess the reason why I like being in a relationship is because, yeah, I do like the companionship. There are days, Joker, where I think to myself, dude, like, what the fuck? Like, I've got to fucking, oh my God, like, shut the hell up.
Right.
And then there are also days where I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm glad that I am the way I am. Most men aren't like that. Most men are afraid of women. Now, aside from the obvious feminism, what is just one flat out reason why you think that men, bigger, faster, stronger than women, are afraid of women?
Because of society. I mean, if you really boil it down, let's start right at the base. 85% of single parents are mothers. 70%, 60 to 80% divorce rate are initiated by women when you look at the numbers across various countries. Right. Then you've got young men that are being raised by mom. They go to school, and a vast majority of teachers are female. If they go into the workforce, the college from there, again, same thing, very left-leaning, very progressive, and very female-oriented. And then they're dumped out on the sidewalk. Well, that's all they've been taught. They don't have any male role models. They don't have any positive men. They've been told men bad, patriarchy bad, white man lowest, on the totem pole, and men do all these things wrong. It's in commercials. It's in TV shows. Right. It's in the movies where women are now kicking the ass out of a 250-pound weightlifter, and she weighs 98 pounds.
Right.
And guys are saying, I don't understand. And that's just entering into the real world. Then in the workforce, if you're attractive and smile at a girl, you're okay. She giggles. If you're unattractive and you smile at a girl, human resources gets called, or you get fired at that point. Or in college with Title IX, she can accuse you of doing something you didn't. They don't even look at proof. They just take her word out of college. So when you start adding, and I won't go down the full list, there's 100 more, but when you start adding all this up, men are afraid of women, and rightly so, because now it used to be when a guy and a girl went on a date, they'd say, okay, honey, the mother or dad or friends would say, make sure to meet him in a public place. Make sure he's not creepy. Make sure he doesn't grab you and do something bad. Make sure. And women say, okay, now women are like, let's go. Come on over to my place. We'll knock it out. We'll have a little bit of fun. And guys are like, yeah, but she could blame me for something I didn't do. Let me meet her in a public place where people can see, right? And the second date will be because I gotta be protected by people knowing and seeing what I'm up to until I can see how many red flags she has, see if she is nuts, see if she's really going to go down this path. And then maybe I can relax a little bit. It's changed. And with the courts and everybody backing up women, and you put something on social media that says, believe all women, and your name gets out associated with something, even if the law doesn't put you in jail, you're in purgatory. Good luck getting a job if your name's across Google. So guys, a lot of guys, and this is one of the reasons why I started saying, is that all this, a little bit of punani and a little bit of fun on a Friday night, is all that at some point, if I'm very good at being a player and going on lots of dates, one of these might not work out so well for me. Is that really worth the risk?
It's really gotten to a point where when you interact with a woman, whether it's sexually or not, you're handing her a loaded gun. 10, 12 years ago, getting married to a woman, the only way you could really hand a woman a loaded gun, the only way a woman could really destroy your life is to get married to her, right?
Right.
Guys have figured out, hey, listen, getting married to women, not quite the bargain we all thought it was. More men are opting out of marriage. Well, guess what's happening? Now that more men are opting out of marriage, women are finding other ways to destroy our lives, right? So men aren't getting married anymore, so they are finding other ways to extrapolate resources. And I want to get your thoughts on this. In my mind, feminism has there are many goals of feminism. Today's feminism has two main goals. The first goal is to transfer resources from men to women. The second goal is to remove all sexual constraints from women while putting them on men. What are your thoughts on those two main goals?
Well, I think extracting resources has been since the beginning of time.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say that's feminism. I would say that's women's natural innate tendency.
Okay. All right.
Because what happens to a man that runs out of resources?
Right.
She's out. She's out. Right. She doesn't have to be a feminist. She could be the biggest conservative, sweet lady in the world. But if you ain't got what can you do for me? Right. So the feminism of today, believe it or not, only about 20 to 30% of women call themselves a feminist, right. But the other 70% believe that women are somehow behind, even though they're not. And women are not graduating college, even though they're graduating college at a higher rate. And women don't have as many opportunities, and women aren't paid as much. A lot of women believe that stuff, even though statistically it's been shown false. So when it really boils down to the word feminism, I think that's too general a term. That's what we call the crazies over here on the one side, that are the loud ones that are screaming to the high heavens and writing these ridiculous stories online that we read about. I think the overall problem is that somehow women in general feel like they need to fight the man, and they need to show that they're better and show that they're strong and show that you've won. Women graduate college, 60% of the graduates are women, 40% are men, but yet all the scholarships are for women. Right. Still, the majority of them. And jobs now, they found at Google, it was a year or two ago, that the men were actually underpaid when they looked at all the salaries.
Yeah.
Well, you've won, ladies. So what else is there? But they don't stop there. Now they have to put women are great in movies and men are stupid and fumbling in commercials. And you've won. So now they're just beating a dead horse at this point. And so I think the only way that this comes back around is, the men's rights activists fight, but they get nowhere because they're men. And the minute a man argues with a woman about here's how we need to improve and here's what we need to fix, a woman says, shut up, you're a man. So the only way we get around to this is when the mainstream women realize men don't want them anymore. Men don't want to marry them anymore. Men don't want children with them anymore. Men don't want to talk to them. Men don't want to date with them. And then what it's going to take is the 70% of women that aren't feminists to say, look, feminists need to cut this shit out because you ruin it for the rest of us. And so we need to somehow get the women to fight against the other women. And that's the only way this works. Otherwise, men just kind of have to say, look, I can fight till the end of the earth, but my word's never going to be taken for it because they say I'm screaming to the hills because, well, I'm losing my control and my power as a male or a white, So the only way that this goes away is if women or society turns against it. And that's all we can do.
That is going to be, it's far more likely than not that is not going to happen because, like you said, 20% of women call themselves feminists, but the other 70 to 80%, even though they don't call themselves feminists, they still have feminist beliefs, just like you said. Yep. And so in order to get women to fight against women to vanquish feminism, and I agree with that, I'd never thought about that before. Men are not going to change feminism. Women have to change feminism. It ain't going to come from us.
But you know how men change women?
Stop dating them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, women, this feminist movement came out and said, hey, you know what, girls, we're empowered. We'll go out and sleep with all the men, just like the boys do. And they said, we'll show them. Well, what's that equal? Well, men are like, I get laid now. I don't have to get married.
Right.
Who's that punish? Women.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden guys say, you know what? I don't have to grow up and have $100,000 a year job. I can do whatever I love, live in a bus like me here in another few months, whenever I get it made. And I can just support myself. Well, who does that hurt? Economy and women. So again, men can actually become out of this happier. And the only people that really get punished for feminism is women in the long haul, as long as the guy's confident and makes his own money and doesn't have to rely on society or anyone else.
No, listen, I agree 100%. In the long run, feminism destroys women. And for men who find the red pill, understand how women really are, we're the ones that win. Because I'll tell you something, Joker. If you're a man who's 45 years old and single, you're as happy as a fucking clam. You're getting ready to go live on a bus. A woman who is 45 and single, on the other hand, now she's freaking out. Now she's calling up her doctor for another prescription of whatever anti-anxiety medication she's on, because she cannot live with the fact that she is 5 years away from being half 100.
Right. Right. Well, who typically, the young ladies are going out there and having their fun and being all empowered. The guys love it. I mean, the last girl I dated for a little while was, go ahead.
Yeah, feminism's easy pussy. I love feminism. It's
yeah.
Easy
the last girl I dated at 6 was 24. And so it worked out very well for me. But and those women feel great about it. But when all that changes is when the 24 becomes 30, 31, 32, and they say, I want a guy to get married to. He's hot and he's got his stuff together. Yep. Oh, he doesn't want to get married. He wants to keep nailing the 24-year-olds. Well, okay, that's not going to work. Maybe I'll look for a 35-year-old guy. Nope. He's with a 20. What about the 30, 40 or 45? He's with a 20-year-olds. Well, what's left for me? Nothing. You had your chance to catch it in your 20s before you threw it all out to everybody to enjoy and gave it all away. You gave the one thing that men want, which is your kind of a little bit of virtue, and something that's not beaten to death by the time the guy gets it. Well, you gave that away, and men know that, and they say, "Well, I don't want to own any of this. I'm just going to lease and or rent." But if I'm going to rent, I'm going to get the shiny new sports car, not the one that's had a few 100,000 miles on it. And so again, the women, the ones that get punished for all of this is the women.
Yeah, listen, they always end up losing in the end. Il Subliminal with the $5 super chat says, Joker spitting hot fire. Appreciate that super chat. John Bonacci, or I think that's how you pronounce it, he says, COVID is actually fighting feminism. This is interesting.
I have 2 articles on that.
Okay, well, I got to check those out because I saw a meme long before this Corona stuff ever came to the forefront, at least before we were aware. And in the first box, it says, World War III is announced. In the next box, it shows a woman in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
So what a lot of my clients, and this is so funny, what a lot of my clients, you're seeing this all over social media and from anecdotes, people that you know and talk to, is all of a sudden, like, guys are telling me, hey, Donovan, like, my fuck buddies are hitting me up out of the blue. Hey, Donovan, this girl I was fucking 2-3 years ago, all of a sudden she wants to come over. Like, what the fuck? What's happening? And I actually saw an article. It was a Reddit thread that got taken down. A girl said, am I the only girl who wishes she had a boyfriend during this coronavirus scare? Yeah. So coronavirus is obviously, it's a worldwide global pandemic, epidemic, whatever the case may be. But people are in danger. People's lives are in danger. People aren't doing anything. Like the world seems to be in peril. Now, all of a sudden, women are interested in being with a man. Yeah, so much for the strong and independent woman. What are your thoughts on that? COVID is actually fighting feminism. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, when there's no problems in the world, it's easy to make up problems. And this is a problem with the feminist movement. And for those of you, I don't know how many followers you have that are extreme left progressive, but you notice they're always fighting something. They're fighting the system, fighting the man, fighting men, fighting. They always have to fight against something. Right. You can't build if you're trying to tear something else down or attack something else. You're not a builder at that point. So when all of a sudden the real problems of the world show up, they say, okay, well, maybe this isn't such a good idea because, if you guys can't see it on the camera the way I have it set up here, but this bookshelf here behind me, I got piles of food here. I'm good for months and months. I got a 45 next to the bed. Oh, I don't have a worry in the world. If everything goes real south, I'm feeling okay about it. But these are real problems. And what happens if the power goes out? What happens if the septic backs up? What happens if your water shuts off? Men are usually men, not the city folk, but men say, okay, well, I've thought this out. Here's what we do. Where women are like, they just don't naturally think that direction. And so now when they start thinking about things falling apart and you say, how's your bank account look? And I go, well, I'm good. How are most women? Not so good, because they got a worthless gender studies degree and they're working as a waitress until they can find their dream job, and they got 200 grand in debt. They got no money. They have no backup plan. So what is the all-time backup plan for women? Men. That's it. Men, men are the backup plan for women. They always have been. What's the backup plan for men? Themselves. And so that's why when things go down, women look to men, because men go, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm ready. And they need that peace of mind.
What this goes to show is that what all of this boils down to, and I say this all the time, feminism is one giant shit test. And the reason I know it's a shit test is because the more men acquiesce, the more women want. You said it yourself. Listen, most college degrees are held by women. You guys have advantages here, there, and everywhere. You can end a man's life with just, one false rape exit, whatever the case may be. You guys win. But just like you said, they keep fighting for more. The more they want, the more they get. I would actually submit this to you. I think that feminism doesn't happen without men. What are your thoughts?
Well, here's what happens is when they, as a matter of fact, the community turns upon itself. It becomes a snake eating its own tail at that point. If they have no one else to lash out about, they lash about, well, you're not feminist enough, or I can't believe, feminism's about letting women do whatever they want. Then they attack a woman that wants to just be a traditional household wife. So they'll start eating their own at some point. So yeah, feminism can't really exist without something to fight against. That fighting against is men. And that's why I think, at least being the kind of the philosophy that I have, is I don't give you can't fight against me, because I won't fight you. I won't show up to the field. I won't step onto the field. You can take your ball, and you're one team playing against yourself at that point. I'm not going to give you any pushback, because I'll be off over here doing my own thing and being happy about it. And I don't give them anything to work with. So what they're starting to see now is the only reason they got all this attention is because deep down feminists are extreme narcissists.
Yeah.
It's pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. And they say, oh, I want this. Okay, here you go. Well, that's not good enough. I also want this. Here you go. Well, now I want, well, at some point they're going to run out of things to get. And once they're ahead, that's still not good enough. So then they start backfight. So the only things you can do is, number one, never give an inch on anything, even if you're sorry for doing something. Oh, yeah. If I mess up, instead, I never say I'm sorry anymore. What I will say is, I'll say, I'm sorry you feel that way.
There you go.
That's not me apologizing.
I say mistakes were made.
Yeah, and because the minute you take one step back, they're going to take that one step forward, and they're going to keep moving in on you. So, the only things you can, it's just like this politically correct cancel culture. They give in, they want more, and they want more, and they want, and so even if you do give in, you lose. The only way you can do is stick your feet in cement and say, you're not going to move me. And you have to do that with anything that you disagree with. You gotta be a man and man up to what you believe in.
And you want to know what happens when you do that, Joker? A funny thing happens. Women become more attracted to you when you do this. Who would have thought? Yep. What men have to understand is that women, how could I put this? A woman's they're programmed for self-destruction. I don't mean whoever the creator is, and I'm in a transitional religious period, but the way women are made, whoever the creator is, for whatever reason, a woman's default setting is self-destruction. If you give woman exclusive power over anything, they destroy it. Their children, themselves, the dating market. What men need to understand is that all you have to do, and it doesn't even take much, Joker. All you have to do, just like you said, put your feet in cement and say, listen, you're not going to fucking move me. That's all there is to it.
Right.
Despite this, and again, we understand this, but men are still afraid of women. Women are dying for real men. Women are dying for men to tell them one word. No, that's it. Explain to our audiences why the word no is so important, even though it might hurt a little bit now. You might face a little bit of enemy fire, but why it's going to be good for the both of you in the long run.
Women need boundaries, and it's not necessarily they don't even overtly know this. They don't know this. It's not in the front of their brain. This is something that's deep down. A man that can't be pushed around, a man that sets boundaries, is a man that is strong. A man that is confident, a man that knows what he wants, knows where he's going, knows what he's doing. If a man gives in to every whim that a woman wants, she feels in charge, and women don't want that. Despite what you hear and what they say, they don't want that, because when things go down, are they going to look to the guy and say, honey, I got this? No, they're not going to do that. They're going to ditch that guy and start looking around for the strongest, most dependable, usually, and not even physically, just biggest personality that says, I got this. Don't worry about it. The guy might be 5'4" and 100 pounds, but if he's got a plan and he says, I got this, don't worry about it, then she's at least going to listen to him. So, as a good example, when I was traveling, I went to Southeast Asia, I went to the Philippines, and same thing in Thailand. Those two countries I spent about 4 months in out of a little bit over a year. And I swiped online because you could get on Tinder, and you can pay the little extra so you can swipe anywhere in the world. And, I was feeling my oats. I said, hey, I've heard Southeast Asian girls. Let's check this out. Man, you go to bed and you set up a profile with a couple of pictures. You go to bed, you wake up, and you got 120, 130 matches within a 2-mile radius. So when a guy has that kind of selection, he can be very choosy. So you pick only the prettiest girls, you message them, you tell them what you want, what you're going to do, so on and so forth. And when you go through that, you realize, okay, this is what it feels like to have control. This is what it feels like to have power. This is what it feels like to have decision. This is what it feels like with confidence about when it comes to the opposite sex. Now take all that away. Take all the women interested you in away. You should feel no difference, even without those women. Right. That's the way you need to feel is, you know, without those women, I'm in control of my life, my money, my decisions, my career. This is my world. You get to live in it. If you want to come along with me, it's my ride. You get to jump on. We're going to go. But if you want me to steer off this course at all, my answer has to be no, because if a woman can steer you off your course, what else will steer you off your course? What else will weaken you? What else will breaking you down? You know, these guys that are paying these girls on the OnlyFans and all that stuff, they don't, man, they just look at them as paychecks, But if a woman says, hey, why don't we do this? And you said, no, I'm not interested in that. And I've told you I'm not interested in that. And they said, yeah, but no, I don't care. And, you know, the more times I've done that, it's when you're dating somebody and you don't care about them. They're just a piece of ass or whatever for you. Right. And you really don't care. And so when they go, well, I'll do this, you go, get out then, go. Yeah. Or I dare you to get the F out, or I'm out and I leave. Those are the ones that are calling and blowing you up because you're standing strong. But the guys that go, I'm sorry, honey, I want to be in touch with. Shut up. You're about as useful as a rug on the floor at that point to a woman. And it's not you can't fake that. You can't fake having that strong frame of being confident in yourself. You have to earn that and develop that on your own without women, because it's not women that'll give that to you. You got to learn that on your own. And then, ironically, once you have it, you may find out, I don't even need the women.
You know what? 9 times out of 10, I think that's what happens when men find that inner frame. They figure out, wait a minute, I got this frame with women. I didn't really need women to get there. Yep. Geeky Anomaly with the $5 super chat. This is actually a pretty good question. He says, feminism may be good for easy tang, but isn't it counterproductive for a healthy, functioning red pill relationship?
Nah, no way. What's counterproductive? Healthy, functioning relationship.
Right.
Well, I'm happy. I have no one telling me what to do. If I want to get away from all the venom of women spitting this stuff at me, you just reach right over here and pop off the computer, go hit the real world. Can't hear from a feminism all day. You know, go to Iceland, go hiking for 30 days. You won't hear from a single feminist out there. I promise you. No. It's not deep. It's in the media. It's in songs. It's on the damn news channels. It's all that. But in your real world, when you really look around and on the things you touch, unless you're in a crazy city, you don't really interact with it. But what you do get to interact with is the women that go, I'm empowered. Here's my bra. Here's my panties. Here's, let's go have some fun. That you'll encounter, but you don't encounter the other stuff if you're a strong guy. Because if a woman does bring that forward to you, you just take off.
Fuck you. Yeah. My answer to that question, and this is actually a very good question, and yours is a good answer. I'm actually going to piggyback off what you just said. What a lot of guys need to understand is that being in a relationship is not the end all be all. See, what Geeky Anomaly is asking is what every guy asks, because Joker, this is the thing, man. We were not designed to be like this. Right. I wasn't designed to have to be a fucking asshole to my woman to get her to be in line. Right. The environment made us this way.
Yep.
You and I, men, Geeky Anomaly, we're designed to want to have relationships with women. We're designed to want to be with women. But because of the state of the sexual marketplace, it forces us to be this way. That said, something else that we have realized is for men, a relationship is not the end all be all. I would be every bit as happy and satisfied and content if I weren't in a relationship, even now, right? I don't need Devin to be happy. I'm happy with her. She elevates my life, but I don't need her to be happy. Right. Women are the opposite, right? Women need men to be happy. So this guy, Geeky Anomaly, what he's going to have to understand, he sounds like he's probably a young guy. Listen, believe it or not, the further you get into this, the less necessary you discover women to be.
Right. And here's the thing that a lot of guys will sometimes ask and sometimes have a concern about. Well, way back in the day, it was easier to have a normal relationship. Women didn't seem all empowered. They were nicer. They didn't just try to select the top 20% of guys. They were reasonable about this stuff. And that much is true. The internet and the rise of the narcissist, always trying to look for attention and I'm special. And these girls that are at best a 5, but they put on Twitter or wherever else a picture of their ass, and guys are, oh, you're so beautiful. Like, it falsely inflates their value,
right?
Or they get a guy that's an 8, and one time he has a couple of beers and is a little, horned up, and he says, she's a 5. All of a sudden she thinks every guy she dates is an 8. That's gonna you can't change that. You can't wish things are the way they used to be. You can't wish it all away. The only thing you can do is look at it the way it is today and say, I understand what's going on. That's the best you can do. There's no Wayback Machine. We woulda, coulda, shoulda. So now that you understand the way the game is, now you have to work your way through it.
Sure.
You got to understand it. You got to quit. So for feminism is feminism. You're not going to get rid of it,
nope.
But you just got to deal with it the best way you can.
You just made a very good point about the internet. The internet has changed the world for better or for worse. The internet is part of the destruction of the sexual marketplace. But what the internet has taught me in terms of women have always had endless options. They've had endless options since the beginning of time. Yep. What the internet did is it made them aware of their options. Now, a girl who is a dude, any decent looking girl in Omaha, Nebraska, she now has access to men all over the world via seeking arrangements, Twitter,
yep.
Facebook, Instagram. Yep. And with all of those, and women didn't realize they had all these options until they had the internet. And now, thanks to the smartphone, they can summon a dozen cocks to their exact location in 12 swipes or left. What are your thoughts on are you of the mind that the internet is evil and that it's destroyed the world? Or do you think that even though it's destroyed the sexual marketplace, it does still have its utilities? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, here's it's kind of funny because I was around at the invention of the internet. Two colleges were really excited. They could share electronic mails back and forth to each other. And we had the promise of, the internet. You won't even have to go to college anymore. You don't have to be smart. If you ever need to know something, it'll be online, shared by all these other smart people and wonderful. And then all of a sudden you got people that are licking toilet seats to show how tough they are against coronavirus. That's really where we are. It didn't make everybody brilliant. It made them exceptionally stupid. And once it hit the handheld, oh, forget about it. So the truth is, I think as far as dating goes, as far as relationships goes, the internet has ruined is a tough word. I'd say changed for the worse. Okay. But for a guy like myself, I can hole up in here, or if I'm in a big city, like when I used to live up in North Carolina near Raleigh, I could open my app.
I'm sorry. Let me stop you right there. Dude, yeah. I lived in North Carolina on and off for 20 years, dude.
Yes. So I was in Raleigh. I worked at an RTP for one of the network engineer up there.
Dude, I worked in Morrisville at a company called Value Options.
Man. Yeah, I know Value Options. Yeah.
Holy shit, man. Wow.
As a matter of fact, my apartment was about 3 miles from Morrisville. So
get out of here. Wow.
Yeah. 14 years.
Wow.
I probably bumped into in half the bars down in down on not Franklin Street on what's the main drag through Raleigh there?
Oh God, Capitol Boulevard.
Yes, on Capitol. Yep.
Absolutely, man. It's all fucking world, man. All right. My bad. Finish your
No, it's all good. So the fact that I can pick up a phone and I can set my location because I'm flying to Thailand in 2 weeks. So I set my location there by paying $10 to Twitter or whatever. And I start swiping and I've got a match and I can chat her up and we're hot, ready to go. She gets me from the airport. We go to her place, get a bite to eat, go to her place and have fun. You couldn't even dream of doing something like that before the internet. So there's the good. Then there's the hookup culture, which again, if you're willing to be single and you just keep yourself safe and use your brains, it's like a buffet. It's like a buffet out there for you. That's good. But as far as finding somebody for a relationship, it's made it virtually impossible. Because if you say, hey, I'm a 5 guy and I'm looking for a 5 girl, that's all my expectations are in life. I don't need anything crazy. Just want someone that's sane and normal. Well, that 5 thinks she can get a 7 or an 8 because she got 7 or 8s, thirsting for her because she showed a booty pic or whatever. So it's thrown off the marketplace. And so I think there's the good and the bad. It's good for the guys being single, good for the guys being in the short-term relationship. It's bad for anyone that wants to have marriage or anything else. And as far as connecting with the world, as long as you know how to filter out the poison, you go on Twitter. I follow you on Twitter. You wouldn't know me because I have 0 followers and it's some random, because I never post because I could give a crap about Twitter, but I read things. Sure. And, when you're on Twitter, depending on who you follow, it's a poison pill. And if you really don't understand that 2% of the world is what's posting on there, you think the world was ending tomorrow,
Oh.
and that it's fallen off a cliff. So I think when you have to understand the dynamics of it, or else you drive yourself crazy.
It's just like women. Like, and I've always maintained this. Women are they're terrible and all this and that and the other, but women are not inherently evil. They're neither good nor bad.
Opportunists.
Yeah, right, exactly. And we as men, we're opportunists, just in sort of a different way. MGTOW Ghost Son with the $5 super chat says, women are only loud when there is safety. The COVID took it away. Feminism cannot exist in a state of nature. No more slut walks anytime soon. Yeah, listen, in a violent police state, martial law, feminism will not thrive. There's just nothing to it. Or that's just all there is to it. A couple more topics here. I wanted to get your thoughts on you said something earlier that really grabbed my attention, and you said that women contact you. The women that contact me are not so nice about it. And I think it has a lot to do with our deliveries. You're much calmer. You're much more measured. Me, I'm just, out here with an M16, just, spraying bullets all over the place. Right. Why, I guess are women ever going to come around? Because there are women out there who are like, listen, no feminism. Like, if not for feminism, I'd have to work and all this other kind of stuff. What are your thoughts on true, I guess, red pill women who really don't buy into feminism? Can they stem the tide, or are they always going to be the minority?
Well, I think they're always going to be the minority for sure, especially with things the way they are today. But if the good women there, for me to say that no women are good would just be ridiculous. There are wonderful women out there. There are women that want to get married, but to know and understand hypergamy, that is in all women, just like to know and understand men and fat booties and big boobs. Right? It is a thing. And you can say all you want against it, but it's something that's it's ingrained in you. So to understand it, if a guy sees a woman, he'd be like, man, I would love to hit that. But I'm married and I got kids and she's a good wife and I don't want to get caught. And I understand all the repercussions. And so I won't, but I'll think about her later. Well, hypergamy is the same thing. It's, man, he's a doctor, he's cute, or whatever. He's cute, he's good looking, he's successful, he's flirting with me, man, but I got a husband that I love and takes care of me, and I'm going to stay with him and just think about him later. That part, the whole think about it later, is gone. Now it's whatever opportunity is there, I'm going to go for. So there are women that understand what they are feeling and that they understand it, and they deny it. But those are getting fewer and fewer and fewer.
Right.
And so I think now there's a point where, one of the reasons I tend to do, I think, okay with some women on my channel is because I'm not angry at them, and I don't blame them. When you have it's kind of a hard way to put it, but if you have a dog that has been mistreated as it's grown up from a puppy to an adult, and it's afraid and it bites, do you blame the dog? No, you blame the trainer or the owner. I think what's happening with young women is between the single moms and the colleges and the education system being women and everything online's go girl power and men are bad. No, when they land, they go, I'm wonderful and I have so much to offer the world, even though they don't. And so they think they deserve, they deserve all the sixes, the 6 foot tall, 6-pack abs, 6
right.
So, right. They think they deserve all that, but there's only, 1 or 2 of those men per 100 women. And they don't understand the math behind it. And then they get dumped out at their 30s and they go, well, what happened? I was promised all this stuff and it didn't happen for me. And they're really, again, yes, they're the ones that lose, but they don't ever take a moment to look back on it and say, what did I do wrong here? Maybe there's a lesson to be learned from here. So I don't know, man. I think the women on my channel understand that I'm not angry with them. I don't blame them. But they just need to understand that if they act this way, men will act this way. So if they wonder, why are guys the way they are, start rooting back the cause. And all of a sudden you go, oh, it's because of women.
Yeah, right.
And I think the women on my channel understand that. And a lot of them say, thank you for at least letting me see how if I do this, he might do this, or so on and so forth. So
listen, that's a very good answer. And let me parlay that into this question. Because of the internet, women are now aware of what happens to women after they hit the wall. Like, we can talk about feminism and girl power, this and that and the other. There are countless articles, videos, examples, real life, imagined or otherwise, of women who are 37, 40, 43 years old single and childless, they're out here warning these girls, hey, listen, man, like I sport fucked my way through my 20s. I thought that I thought I'd be able to get married at 35 and have the 2.2 kids and the dog in the house. It didn't happen for me. And I kind of just figured out that it was feminism. There are warnings out here for these girls. Why don't women see these warnings and heed them?
Well, when you're young, how many warnings did I know about that I didn't pay attention to? Right. You hear, hey, if you put $100 in your, 401k from the time you're 18, by the time you're 65, you do $100 a month, you're a millionaire.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm 27 and I haven't done that once, or I'm 40 and I haven't done, right? You always think you have till tomorrow, especially when you're young. And what happens is that 18 becomes 23, but you're young, and 23 becomes 28, but you're still in your 20s. And before you know it, you go, holy crap, I'm 47 and 18 was 3 months ago. Wow. That's just how it feels. And I think the same thing happens for women, is that it's not even a number. It's not 20s versus 30s, because I've seen some smoke shows that are 45.
Yeah.
Take care of themselves.
Right.
But what it is it's a combination of things. It's number one, attitudes. The attitudes are in all ages right now. Sure. Number two, the baggage starts piling up. You can't plow through 20, 30, 40, 100, 200 guys and not expect to have problems with finding a guy that's good enough, or a guy that you can bond to, or a man that you can fall in love with, because you're always looking around. You've got 200 other things you're comparing him to. You say, well, this other guy and this other guy, well, he's not everything. I got to keep looking.
Sure.
And before you know it, the sand's run out of the hourglass, and guys aren't winking at you anymore, and guys aren't paying attention at you anymore. Then's where the fear starts setting in. Then's when the anger starts setting in, not necessarily just the men, but also with the younger women, because that's where the men are going, to the younger women. And then it's, I wish these girls didn't dress like whores today and wearing the yoga pants. But in the meantime, she's, 50 pounds overweight and bitter. So now that she's got this attitude, maybe she has a baby, maybe she has a couple kids, maybe by different fathers. They don't realize that each one is a handful of sand. And it's not bad when it's just one handful of sand, because you go, it's a little sand. But when you keep doing this before, and you know what, you got to pile up to your knees of sand, and men see that and go, no way, man. There's way, way too many issues here. And you're 32.
Right.
So, that's why women, and at that point, you don't undo 200 past partners. You don't undo two kids from two different babies' daddies. You don't undo all the bad decisions in your life. You don't undo your 200 grand in student debt for a gender studies. You're done. That's it. You've made your choices. And women need to know this very early 20s before they get through all this stuff, because that's when they have all the power. As women, they kind of cross. As men get out of their 20s, they get some scratch together, they invest well. By the time you're 45, it is easy to be a millionaire. Right. If you save and you scrimp and you don't buy every piece of junk you come across, and you have the same phone that you've had for the last 6 years. A man grows in value, grows in power. At 47, I'm better off, and I get more women than I have ever in my life. But as a woman, 20s her power. And it maybe not be fair, but 18, 19, 20, that's the years of her power. That's when she can get a 45-year-old guy that's maybe rich and successful and in good shape, takes care of himself. And they say, well, I want this young, sexy guy. Well, guess what? When that 45-year-old's 85 and he dies, and he's 30 years older than you, and you're still 55, but now you get all of his resources, go have your fun. You've got 30 years, but women want to do it all when they're young now, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's women don't know anything about delayed gratification. Everything is instant gratification. Yep. Well said. I like you, the way you explain things. It's actually very, very cool.
I just make it up as I go.
Hey, don't we all, right? Don't we all? Nonstop Dre 360 with the $2 super chat. This is an interesting question. He says, in your opinions, why do women say who hurt you? What's your opinion on that?
It's because that's the only thing they can say.
Right.
I mean, think about it. A girl comes in and spits shit at a guy, and he goes, whatever. I can't be bothered with a woman. You're a waste of my time. You're hot air. I got nothing to do with you. And I don't feel this way about women, but if a woman's going to attack me, I'm going to attack right back or defend myself. I say, you're worthless. Wait, you got 2 kids. You're 33. You want to shoot shit at me. I'm happy. You got nothing. I don't want women. They'll say, well, who hurt you? Is their way of basically, you could translate that as I got nothing. That's really what they're saying is I got nothing. They have no argument back. Whether it's a guy or a woman, the who hurt you, or you're a loser, you're an incel. Look, that's my favorite one is you're an incel. Okay, you're right. I'm 47. I've never been with a woman in my life. I couldn't write. I wrote $1,000 check to one on a street corner, and she told me, "No, I'm so ugly." Yeah, that's really the way it is. Right? But
No.
that's all they can do is insult you, and because they've got nothing left.
When a woman says when a woman says who hurt you, I totally agree with you. It's because they've got nothing. What it is it's a shaming tactic for a man who is voicing lessons learned.
It's a shit test too.
Of course it is. Women know what they know about themselves. They know that what we talk about is the truth. If somebody were to do a YouTube video, Donovan Sharpe is he's a fat fuck. He's an incel. He lives with his mother, eats Cheetos, and plays video games and jerks off to hentai porn 18 hours a day. Do you think I'm going to get up in arms and be like, who the hell hurt you? No, of course not, because none of that's true.
You know how to get back at him?
How's that?
What corner of the room do you have the camera in? How did you know? Own it. Just own it. You're right, man. Okay, good for you. Because again, you're not giving him any ammo.
Sure. Yeah, the who hurt you thing, it is a low-level shit test shaming tactic. But as soon as a woman says who hurt you, you've literally already won the argument. Yeah. Paul Godin with the $10 super chat. This is interesting. He says the internet didn't lower the IQ. It just lowered the need to obtain knowledge. If it's online, we can always look it up. What people forgot, pardon me, was that there might not always be power around for the internet. That's interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yes. I mean, I try to speak eloquently and use a big word once every 20 minutes so people know I know a little bit of something.
Okay.
My mother was an English teacher. That's just but no, yeah, the best way you need to know a lot, and you need to live life, and you need to study things and know it. And yes, the internet may go around or may get lost someday, but the truth of it is, how do you know who to believe on the internet anyway?
Sure.
Wikipedia now has been edited all to hell, where even things that should be commonly well known have been changed or modified or whatever else. Really, the only person that I guess I could say will take verbatim anymore is actual science, actual mathematics, and my own actual life experience.
Right.
Now I'll take advice, or I'll listen to ideas from other people, and I'll see if it lives up to my own truths, or if I can do some other study and see from more than one site or one location if it's empirical data and it's true. If it is, all right, I might be on board with it. But now so much of what we're fed, the internet is now it's not today's TV, it's today's commercial. You just get fed a bunch of crap and you don't know what it is, but people keep tuning in for it. And, the Facebook and the social media and all this other stuff just spoon feeds you and keeps you in your own little bubble. And it's very quickly to get caught up in, this is what I believe. And if you disagree with me, I hate you, or I don't want to listen to you, or I don't want to talk to you. What good are you doing? You're not learning anymore, nor are you teaching anymore. You have to be able to reach out there and say, hey, let's see what we have in common. Let's see what we can disagree upon. I don't think everybody that watches my channel or necessarily your channel agrees with some things I say. And if I say enough things they don't disagree with, they unsub or stop watching. But at least you need to get to a place where you say, hey, let's at least share ideas. And I think that's, you need to be able to do that, whether the internet exists or not, that you go out and you look for things that you agree, disagree with, don't understand, do understand, and try to build that into your life some way so that you have, that you are a you, and you're not just a repeating parrot of everything you've been told or hear.
Wow, well said, well said. Josh Jericho with the $10 super chat says the thirst of simps is a huge problem with women heeding warnings also. It's interesting that he says this. A lot of people, and again, Lance Steve with the $10 super chat, he says, thanks for the great show, guys. Unplugged Fitness also with the $5 super chat. That's my guy, Myron Gaines, is in the house. Appreciate the super chat. I remember Roosh V once famously said, listen, the wall is undefeated, but women are going to get rescued. And I only half agreed with that. Yes, listen, we talk about the 38-year-old who has 2 kids by 2 different men. Guess what? They will find somebody to wipe them up. They will find a man to forgive them of all their past mistakes. The caveat is that the men that are willing to wipe them up are not the men they want to be with. Right. That's one of the reasons why they don't heed the warnings, is because, just like you said, of the thirst of these guys. What is your warning to men who are dating single mothers in their 30s? What are your warnings to guys like that?
I guess I wouldn't necessarily, if it's not their kid, they're not responsible for the
Right.
kid, and you better make sure you don't have another one with her, or you're in deep water.
Yeah.
It's the same thing I always say: no long term, no cohabitation, no marriage. Look, if you want to, pop one into a single mom on a Friday night and maybe take her to dinner beforehand, that's your thing. But what you need to be careful of is not get trapped in any way, which is why you don't cohabitate, which is why you don't get married, which is why you make sure you use protection and you put that protection down the flusher yourself. You don't leave it sitting in a wastebasket, and you protect yourself. As long as you protect yourself, look, you can make silly decisions or stupid decisions. It's okay. It's not forever. That's how sometimes people learn. And some people don't learn until they make mistakes. Right. Raise your hand if you've done that. But, what I would say to do is find, if you say my value is single mom, mid to late 30s, overweight, what that is your value, what you're dating, what you're spending time with, that's how you value yourself. So if you think the best you can get is that, then you're going to get what you deserve. However, if you're like me, and probably I would imagine like Donovan here, where you say my value is so much higher than that, I won't even entertain the thought. And it's not about being desperate or not desperate. It's just, I'm not even going to think about that. I only spend time, energy, and thoughts on things that are worth my time. So if you are with somebody that is of, say, less of a quality than you think you deserve, you're wrong. You're getting exactly what you deserve. Wow. Now, the way you correct that is to bounce out of there, better yourself in whatever ways you can, but also better your confidence. It's better to be alone than be with somebody that's not worth your time. You're just dating down at that point.
Very good. Yeah. And it's interesting. The lower you date, the lower you tend to date. That's that whole pre-selection thing. Sherhawk with the $5 super chat says, what do you guys think the mainstream media, or what do you guys think of the mainstream media when they try to associate a man choosing to be monogamous or settle down with maturity or growing up? What are your thoughts on that?
And that's fear. Everybody fears what they cannot control.
That's right.
That's all it is to it. That is why I think where the difference between kind of the red pill community and the men going their own way community, men are just the men going their own way have just said, you can't even control me with punani anymore.
Right.
You can't even control me with this. There's nothing you have that can control me. Doesn't mean we don't like it. Means you can't control me. So plus the other thing is the media, quote unquote, a lot of these writers now, these producers for TV shows, they're trying to do this empowering thing where a lot of them are women. If you research back all the way back, well, what you find is, of course, a woman's going to say, well, I can't control men anymore. And the men that are the most attractive and the smartest and the ones with the most money and resources, they're just banging and having fun and they're not marrying anybody anymore. How do we control them? Well, you can't. Well, what can we do to shut it down? I guess insult them and make them feel bad for what they're doing. And that's what they're trying to do. It's a last ditch effort of saying, oh, they've left, as the expression goes, they've left the plantation, right? They're gone. Yep. They're free. How do we get them back? And there's no way you can get them back, but hopefully they're trying the last ditch effort of insulting them to make them say, well, if you don't do that, you're not manning up.
Well, I want to be a man. I want to be mature. I want to grow.
Right.
I want to be
right. But the real man goes, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like you can't, you got nothing for me. You got nothing.
Before I ask this last question, again, I greatly appreciate you making time for my audience. This has been absolutely
hella fun, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, dude, we've had 1,200 viewers. We have had no less than 1,200 viewers the entire time.
Nice.
So this has been a wild success. So last question of the evening, and I think I was actually going to ask you this myself. Where do you see this thing headed? Nonstop Dre 360 with the $2 super chat says, how do you think men and women will act in 10 years?
As far as the women, I don't know. Maybe that'll come to me here. But as far as the men, it's kind of funny in its expression. You'll hear it a lot of times. All roads lead to MGTOW. That's not necessarily true, but all roads do lead eventually to red pill, because you take the guy that gets married and he's happily married and the kids are his and they grow old and die together. He's not a statistic. He's not on the radar. He did it right. Now, It's like finding a needle in a stack full of needles or a needle in a shit stack, whatever way you want it. But it's going to be difficult. But the guys that you hear about are the guys that are trying to be, either they're simping with these girls and giving them money, they lose. Then they try to date, They get run over, they lose. And eventually either men are going to be worthless. They're going to be, not all men, but some men are either going to say, I can't live the blue pill world. I'm going to keep trying. And they're going to be frowned upon by women, and they're going to be frowned upon by men. And they're going to fall to the Wade side and be very unhappy and feel like they've gotten nowhere in life. Or guys are going to be like me. Guys are going to be like you. I've had success with women. I've had wonderful success with women. I've been burnt to the ground by women. I've had my heart crushed by women. But at a certain point you go, something's not working out here. And so you start looking for alternatives, and you hear of people, whether it's your channel, my channel, where I go, I'm happy, I'm good. I understand the way the world works. It's not perfect. I wish we could have this, but we don't. So let's do the best with it. And when you start working your way through this, and you start working your way through these problems, once you're on the other side, you go, holy crap, I'm so much happier. And all this weight's been lifted off, and all the expectations, and I can't be fooled anymore. I can't be taken advantage of anymore. And once those go away, man, you're good. So I think once you get to this side of the fence, there's never going back. And more guys, because of the craziness, are at least sticking their head and saying, what are you guys doing on this side of the fence? Mind if I stick around for a little while and listen? And they either stay and things are a lot easier, or they go back. Rough times. So I think all roads lead to the red pill at some point.
I agree 100%. Whether or not they take or digest the red pill, that's a whole, that obviously that is that's a whole nother ball game. Joker, again, thank you very much. This was a lot of fun. I don't think you do too many live broadcasts, but if you ever do and you need a guest, man, give me a call, shoot me a text.
Hey man, I just got to figure out how this crap works, because the usual curve for YouTubers is, okay, I'm going to try this. I've got 17 viewers. I'm going to try a live cast. Man, I went from nothing to so many viewers. Now I'm afraid to try anything because I'm afraid I'll be on here. Is this thing on? Audio's all messed up. I know how to turn on it's funny because the camera that I use for all my episodes is just my Google Pixel. So I set this up in a little stand. I record it on that, record the audio on here, go into an editor, merge them together, and I pretend like I know what I'm doing. I got nothing, man. But yeah,
I like your videos, man. I like the production, dude. I like it a lot.
I'm good at Photoshop and I'm good at video editing. So I think, well, even if I look a mess, at least I can make it presentable. So yeah, if I put something together, man, I'd love to have you on. I really appreciate you inviting me. And it's I love hearing from the opposite side of the coin, where men are like, hey, we're going to keep dating. We're going to just make sure it's under our terms. And it's always fun to see the different flavors of everybody out there. I think that's absolutely great. So thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the way I see it. And one thing that you were very you were adamant about men protecting themselves. And I think what men have to understand about my situation is that there are things that I have put in place on purpose to protect myself. It's one of because I would not have done this if there weren't these things in place. I didn't just make a decision on the fly all willy-nilly. Yeah, right. This can be done. It is very difficult. And as of right now, here on March 23rd of 2020, it's worth it to me. Whether or not that'll be worth it tomorrow, maybe the next day, who knows? But as of right now, I'm good with it. The juice so far, it's still worth the squeeze, but trust and believe, when it's no longer worth it for me, I'm not going to be in this situation anymore. And I put myself in a position where I could literally walk out the door with zero collateral damage. So yeah,
as long as you can pull the trigger whenever you need and you're 30 seconds away from ending it, then you're going to be all right. It's men are always fine when they're thinking logically, and as long as you can think logically and control this guy downstairs and control your emotions over it, as long as you're thinking with your head, you're okay. But once you start thinking with your heart, you're roasted, you're toasted, and you're done. And same thing for when the little man downstairs. So once you control all that and the head's in charge, controlling the other two, you're going to be all right.
Good stuff, man. He is Joker from The Better Bachelor. You guys be sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel. I've put the link in the chat and the description. Joker, again, thank you very much for joining us. We got to see you sometime soon, man.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, bud.
Take care, guys. I will see you guys on the air tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. I will be breaking down the next 2 episodes of Love is Blind. Stay tuned for that. See you guys tomorrow. Take care.